Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great week so far. Nicole here, just wanted to touch base with you on next week's power food. Next week we are going to explore winter squash. You've probably seen in your grocery store that there are bins of them waiting for you to experiment and explore. There's everything from spaghetti squash to butternut squash to acorn squash, which are the green and orange looking ones that look like an acorn. And you can do so many things with winter squash. It's one of my favorite foods for the fall because they're so versatile and there's so many things you can do. You can make soups, you can make side dishes, you can make salads, you can make pizza, which I'll talk about in a second. I've got a couple different squashes here. I'm actually going to use them throughout the week. Today I have barely any time to make dinner, so I need something really quick and fast, so I'm going to make spaghetti squash tonight. And so I've basically taken my spaghetti squash and cut it in half, and then you'll want to scoop out the insides. The nice thing about spaghetti squash, which if you're somebody who likes pumpkin seeds, their seeds are very similar to pumpkins. They're very large. They're not like tiny little seeds. They're actually pretty decent size. So if you want to pick through all of the what we like to call guts and save those seeds, you can roast them just like you would pumpkin seeds, the ones from the spaghetti squash, which is definitely something that I will be doing because we go through pumpkin seeds really, really quickly in our house. They're a huge hit for a fall snack. So I'm just gonna scoop out the insides. There are really a couple different ways that you can make spaghetti squash. You can roast it in the oven to get it tender. You can microwave it in a pot or a dish with a little bit of water, and then cover it with saran wrap if you'd like. Or I'm somebody who, I'm not a huge fan of microwaving things, so I like to throw things in my crock pot. I use my crock pot, especially in the winter and the fall. I use it probably 3 to 4 times a week. So once I'm done scooping out, I am actually just going to cook my spaghetti squash all day long while I'm out running my errands. Set that off to the side. I'm going to throw my spaghetti squash into my crock pot. And then I have some homemade broth here. You can use water, but I'm going to just dump some broth in so that there's a little bit of liquid to help it steam. And I'm going to cover it, and you would use the same time frames that you would for any other dishes that you might be making in a crock pot. So, you know, if you're going to cook on high, 4 to 6 hours, and if you're going to cook on low, you can go 7 to 8 hours. So I'm going to cover that and get it cooking. And then once you're done, if you've never used spaghetti squash before, it will be very tender, and you basically just take a fork and you scoop out the insides, and the insides will pull away from the skin in strands, almost like spaghetti, which is where it gets the same. And then you can use those strands of spaghetti for anything you want. So a lot of people will make pasta dishes, but instead of using the actual pasta, they'll use spaghetti squash, which is what I'm going to do. When I get home this evening, I'm just going to take a bunch of vegetables, zucchini, a pint of cherry tomatoes, some mushrooms. You can add meat if you have time. So if you wanted to brown up some hamburger, if you wanted to, if you had some leftover chicken, anything like that, I'm going to just throw it all on a pan, put some olive oil, salt and pepper, stick it in the oven and roast it. I love roasted cherry tomatoes because they burst in the oven and they get this really amazing flavor. And then I'm literally just going to scoop out the insides to my squash and top with the mixture that I roasted. Really simple, really easy, fast dinner for those days that you need to eat clean, but you don't have a lot of time. The other squash that I have is a